What's up, you guys? I'm coming at you here with another video, and this is probably going to be the final Magical Musketeer deck profile that I do, because I do believe this is the best version I could possibly make with the cards that we're given. So let's basically get into it. I'm gonna explain the main deck choices, my card choices, and the reason I play them, as well as the extra deck. Now, Magical Musketeers have been one of my favorite decks since the deck's inception. I just really like the playstyle and how you could activate spell and traps from hand, how the deck gains advantage through your opponent's mistakes, and I just really like the column-based dynamic that the deck has. That's what drew me to it in the first place, and that's what continues me. It keeps me playing the deck. So I'm a big fan of Magical Musketeers. Hopefully they get support. I really hope they get a field spell one day. But for right now, let's basically get into the cards and why I play each. Most of you guys are probably Magical Musketeer players, so you guys know their effects. And what their effects basically are, I'm going to run into it. All of them have their effect is when a card is activated in their column, meaning let's say this Caspar here, is if the card is activated in behind him or in front of him, directly across from him, he gets his effect. And what Caspar does is he basically lets you add any Magical Musket card from your deck to your hand, any monsters including himself. But we play triple Caspar, triple Kid Brave, because he lets you recycle your hand. You discard a Magical Musket card and draw two. Double Doc, he basically like a doctor would gets Magical Musket cards from your graveyard. And the surprising factor here is double Magical Musketeer Starfire. She basically lets you special summon any of these guys in defense position, but most of the time you're going to be going into Caspar. Now, the reason we only play two of hers is because the way I'm playing the deck doesn't really get as much value as playing triple Starfire. But this is pretty much it for the Magical Musketeer lineup: triple Caspar, triple Kid Brave, double Doc, and double Starfire. We do play double Honest, and the reason for that is Magical Musketeers don't really do so much damage, and I found that once you finish using your spell and trap cards, you kind of run out of ways to defend them. So the implication that Honest has in his deck is he can be bounced back during the main phase, so you could he has two things. Since all of them are light, you could Honest into them to kind of protect them, and you could even normal summon them, attack, and then bounce them back to your hand in your main phase too. That's pretty much Honest involvement in the deck. Plus he's 1900 defense, so Trickstars can't beat over him unless they use Honest themselves, and that's a complete waste, right? So Honest kind of just makes the deck look I just like the way it plays. This serves as cross domination or steady hands, if you will, but it pretty much allows you to beat over anything. Next we play double Ash Blossom. I mean triple Ash Blossom and double Ogre, because hand traps are important. Kind of need them. The reason I don't play triple Ogre is because the lineup for monsters is just so tight. I've always found two Ogre to be the best scenario, and you kind of always want to wait to use the Ogre on any monster that would give you threat, because you have Last Stand and Desperado to kind of get rid of the spells and traps or use them defensively. I'd always use Ogre as more of an offensive card for old Conductor or cards that can potentially wreck your Musketeers. Save your spells and traps for anything that can do potential harm into your Musketeers, not things like that. So that's Ogre's 2 cents for Ogre. That pretty much wraps it up for the monster lineup. Let's get into the spells and traps. For the spells, we play triple Ties of the Brethren, and what basically this does is you use it for any of the Magical Musketeer monsters except Starfire, which is the reason I kind of cut her down to 2, because opening with her and this doesn't really do you much if you don't play the weaker Musketeers. So what you basically want to do is open any of the level 3s and discard, and that'll basically net you advantage, because if you open with this and Caspar, you get a search, plus you get to spit out Doc and Kid Brave, which gets you your plays going. And if you activate your cards right, for example, if you always start off by using Caspar, get the search, you go with Kid Brave, you have a Magical Musketeer card, discard it, and then you could use Docs if keep using them from hand, and it basically gives you infinite recycles if used properly. Next, double Duality. Kind of contradicts Ties of the Brethren, but I found that Duality and Caspar is just a great way to always open. The fact that you play such a little monster lineup, Duality it comes in really clutch sometimes, and I found that using it for this deck, you don't really always want to special summon. You just want to get their effects going to get more Magical Musket cards in your hand. You want Magical Musket cards in your hand to start off with. You don't really want to special summon as much, because you can hurt your opponent more by negating things with the infinite negates you have in your deck. Next, you play double Desires, because pretty much almost 3 of anything. 1 Upstart Goblin. It's my favorite with that and Caspar. Double Instant Fusion, because we do play an extra deck, and some of the cards in the extra deck are like very good. Plus, it's good for triggering your Magical Musket's effect. Now, her and Starfire is like it's kind of good because she gives you Caspar, but if you don't have Magical Musket like spells and traps in your hand, kind of doesn't really put you anywhere. Which is the reason Duality and Desires and Upstart are at the numbers they are. Next and finally, we play 1 Regeki to cap off the cards that aren't Magical Musket cards. So let's talk a little bit about the Magical Musket spells and traps. We play only 1 Magical Musket Steady Hands, and what it basically does is double your Magical Musket's attack. He just can't attack directly this turn. Most of the time you want to use it defensively. Next, we play triple Magical Musket Cross Domination, and again this kind of ties into the Ghost Ogre discussion we had earlier, where you want to use these offensively only during the damage step, only if your opponent is already doing damage. That's why you say you use the Ghost Ogre for when your opponent like normal summons an Oviraptor or a Candida or something like that. That could like potentially hurt you, but having these in your hand, that's you use these when they're trying to hurt you. So basically 1 and 3, I found like you have to play this at 3, and this is a 1 or 2 of. I find it very good at 2, and most of the times I discard it. Most of the times I only use these during the damage step, so that's basically it. Next, for the traps, we play triple Desperado. It's pretty much Trident or Masterpiece. Trident's banned, and you know Masterpiece is pretty busted, so Desperado's pretty busted in my personal opinion. Next, we play triple Last Stand. It's a counter trap, so unless your opponent has a counter to negate this, they can't really negate it. So that's pretty awesome. And finally, we play 1 Magical Musket Fiendish Deal, because you set this for True Draco and they have to destroy this, giving you a search. It kind of protects all your Magical Musketeer monsters from being destroyed by card effects. So that's pretty cool. Most of the time, I always recommend activating under Kid Brave, because it, you know, he really doesn't, you don't really want to discard too many, so just pretty much if you have a Magical Musket card, use it for Kid Brave, discard your 2, and get your draws. Doc and Caspar are really the ones who get you like the game grinding. Kid Brave's only kind of to unbreak you. So that's just my 2 cents for that. You never want to activate this under Caspar unless you're desperate for a Magical Musket card, because then you prevent yourself from future searching. So it's always important where you place this, because it is a continuous. So just my quick tip. And finally, for the last 2 traps, these are my new personal favorites, and I unfortunately have to proxy one because I lost my other one. Yes, that is Waking the Dragon. I'm a really big fan of this card. Why? Because if True Draco destroys it, if Trickstar destroys it, if Pendulum Magician destroys it, it gives you a free boss monster. Now, of course, it could be Ash, because it says you can special summon 1 monster from the main, from like your deck. But the payoff, if you can pull it off, is just absolutely amazing. Summoning cards like Ultimate Falcon, Naturia Exterio, which negates so much, is just absolutely awesome. Like Naturia Exterio, basically when you bring it out with this, has infinite negates, because this card will be in the graveyard. So you banish it and send 1 from the top of your deck to continue negating, which isn't once per turn. I'll talk a little bit about that when I talk about the extra deck. But I really recommend you guys picking up Waking the Dragon. It's like an absolutely amazing card. I thought like first turn Crystal Wing was amazing. If this gets destroyed, you know, your opponent won't see it coming. So Waking the Dragon is just a great card. I really highly recommend you guys playing it. Now let's talk a little bit about the extra deck. So for the extra deck, this is going to be a little bit fast. We play 1 token, Naturia Exterio and Ultimate Falcon, Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. Now these cards are like at $1 each. I don't know if they've currently been sold out, but I kind of picked them up for like $1 each. So Naturia Exterio, again, if you use special summon it using Waking the Dragon, and it's basically a ultimate negate. It negates spells and trap activations as long as you banish a card from your graveyard and send the top card from your deck to the graveyard. So if you like pretty much see it, you pretty much send 1, and that you can continue banishing that 1 card you're sending from the top of your deck to continue negating. And using Waking the Dragon will put 1 card in the graveyard for its first negate. You know, just can have plays going. And Ultimate Falcon, True Dracos can out it, Pendulum Magicians can out it. It's unaffected by all card effects. So it's like an absolute like beast of a card. Next one, Linkuriboh, because we do play Thousand Edge Restrict and Millenniumize Restrict. Millenniumize because, again, I kind of don't want to get Ash. Plus, you can make these 2 off of Instant Fusion, taking your opponent's monster, then link 1 for Linkuribohs. It's actually like pretty funny sometimes. Opponents hate it, but have a blast doing it. 1 Invoke Raijin. He could Book of Moon himself. He's a 2400 defense. gives your Magical Musketeers defense, plus put a monster on the board and get their effects going. 1 Carbonalo Warrior for the Xyz plays. Flame goes for the Xyz plays. Panzer Dragon, because you can instant fusion him, have him sit on the field, and basically destroy like a card once he leaves the field, because he is being destroyed by instant fusion at the end phase. 1 Phantom Knights of Breaksword, because rank 3s. Acid Golem of Destruction, because him being 3000 attack, he can basically run over almost anything. And finally, the Utopia package. 1 Utopia, 1 Utopia Ray, and 1 Utopia the Lightning, giving it a 14 card extra deck. I'll leave you guys at 15 for any card you guys would recommend putting into the main deck. So let me know what you guys think of the deck profile in the comment section below. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. This is probably the last time I'll update Magical Musketeers for a while, because I really like the way this deck plays. Now, I highly recommend, like, for game 1 and 2, like, if your opponent doesn't know you're playing Waking the Dragon, or once he knows you're playing Waking the Dragon, like, side them out for cards in the extra deck, because then they won't be wanting to destroy him. Like, a funny tip is games 1 and 2, if your opponent hasn't hit it, the Waking the Dragon, like, I'll always leave it, but once they've like destroyed it and now they know you're playing Waking the Dragon, side them in for Mirror Forces. They're not gonna want to pop the back row, because you know they're gonna think it's Waking the Dragon. So just Mirror Forcing that will be hilarious. But that's just my 2 tips, my tip of the day. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think of the deck profile. Thank you guys for watching. Sesma is out.